Okay. Hi everyone, this is SmithyQ from SmithyQ.com, here with a quick video. Someone on the chess.com forum, CNoahSay, he posted a game that he played where he had the frustrating experience of being better in the opening, of having a big attack in the middle game, of reaching essentially a winning position, but he wasn't able to find the finishing blow. He couldn't finish the game off. And then in the ensuing time scramble, he actually ended up losing the game, which is probably the worst feeling in chess. Having a winning position, knowing it's winning, playing the first, 20 moves perfect, and then you end up losing anyway. So he played a very interesting game. So let's take a look. Let's see what he could have done, how he got to his good position, and then what he could have done instead. And so the opening was a Queen's Gambit, in which his opponent played, I'm assuming this is a mouse slip, I don't know, and we'll just go a couple moves quickly, it doesn't matter too much. And White's got a brilliant position of the opening. Look at this, he's got his pieces developed, he's already castled, the ideal pawn center, he's got everything he wants. It's perfect. And then here, Noah, he played e5, and he asked, is this good? First off, yes, it's a fine move. And this is a blitz game, so we have to always keep that in mind. e5 is an excellent attacking move. It's going to prepare a future kingside attack, right? Because as you say, you're right, the knight can come to e4. It also opens up this diagonal completely. So that way we can get ideas of the queen and the bishop battery coming in over here onto the castled king. The one thing we have to realize, though, is right now there's a rook over here, not the king. The king probably will castle kingside, but there's always a chance he doesn't. And in blitz, it's a very common strategy, in fact, for your opponent to castle on the opposite side, just because opposite side castle, that's what you do in blitz, right? The other, I don't want to say a problem, I guess it is a problem, is that when you played e5, you gave up the d5 square. And so then the knight, that's what happens, right? It goes to the best square, and it's immediately black's best piece. And it remains that for pretty much the rest of the game. It's on a good square, you can't kick it away. So you gain e4, but he gains d5. It's a trade-off, right? Now your position is still better, it's still good, it's fine. Why don't we delay it just for a little bit? Let's keep the tension. Because there's another potential pawn break here as well. The d5 move. If we can get that in, so if black doesn't castle in his next move, we can get d5 in, opening the game up, kicking the knight, exchanging. He could be in huge trouble. So I'm thinking instead of playing rook e1. It protects the e-pawn. d5 is now a serious threat coming in here. Black is going to probably force the castle, and then I would play bishop g5. I finish development, last piece is out, and we see you're threatening to take the knight and wreck his pawn structure, and then your kingside attack is going to be amazing. If black is forced to play bishop e7, a passive move, you're laughing. If he's forced to play something like this, you're laughing. If he has to retreat his knight, that'd be even better, because then you'd play e5, there's no knight on d5, and you're going to roll him over in like 15 more moves, right? So just waiting a little bit. And notice how in this position, again, d5 could still be played, or e5, depending on what black does. But e5, that's fine. You're able to bring your knight into a more aggressive square. That's good. He finally castles. Let's go through this a little bit quickly. And here you played bishop e3, which I... Now, again, you're finishing development. Again, that's fantastic. But the bishop isn't doing much on that square, is it? When I look at this position, again, it's blitz. We want to think attack. And so the move I think of right away is queen d3. I move the queen out, and I'm thinking about something like this. Because then I've got the queen battery there, the knights can jump out of the way, or the knight can jump to f6 check, completely opening up the battery. So that's the idea I'm thinking of. Or, if black is fully defending over here, well, that's fine. The queen can also allow this rook to slide over the c or the b file, so we can push these pawns, because this bishop isn't doing much over here. Right? Bishop e3. whatever. Again, this isn't a main question that you had. I'll get there in a second. So he moved back, moved the queen out, and then he took, which was a terrible move by your opponent's thing. Because, as you point out in your comment, Noah, is that, yes, after you take back the pawn, your d-pawn is protected, you've got a strong triangle of pawns, this bishop is hitting at nothing, this bishop's completely out of play, you even got the f-file now for your attack, so, yuck. I want to look at a different move for black, because black is in trouble. He's passive, and the main thing to notice is that all of his pieces are on the queen side. So I want to think king side attack. The move I was thinking, that the first move I would play is black, I'm looking at something like h6. Just because I want to stop a knight or something from landing there. That's the move I'm thinking of. But then, I looked at this line. He's defending with pawns. The only thing he has are pawns. And so what we want to do is, if we can get rid of the pawns, if these pawns magically disappear, you're probably going to checkmate him in, what, 5 moves max? Because he has no defenders there. And so this leads to an interesting idea. We could play g4. Is this weakening? Yes. Yes, it is. But you're going to weaken black so much more if we can get g5 in. We'll trade a pawn. Right now we've got to open g-file. Right? This pawn is terribly weak. Or if he will take the pawn, then now we've got the g5 square for our knights. Just imagine that. Well, no, that'd just be fatal. We got this knight here, we got the queen coming in. It's going to be absolute disaster. Black can't defend this. So black would need to stop the g5. Then I was looking at this line. He goes in, black tries to keep it shut, and now, boom, knight f6, where the queen is threatening checkmate. And so after he takes, white has a very easy plan of playing knight g5 and then queen h7 checkmate. Just like that. Black would need to give back a piece. And now, well, play knight g5. And then I'm looking at this line, trying to see if black can defend. And so white's got an incredibly easy plan here. He's going to play queen e2, take the pawn, come in, checkmate. Or if black somehow defends that, we can go over like this, open g-file, checkmate. Or, well, anything. All of your pieces can come in. Black's defending with a knight. And I put this into the computer just quickly to see what it liked. It wasn't too sure about the g4 idea right away, but a couple moves in, all of a sudden this is a +5 position for white. So completely winning. And this is a blitz game. Again, black has so many weaknesses, he has no defenders. So that's an idea. So just look at that idea once again, because this is going to come up in a moment. Black is only defended by pawns, so we want to get rid of the pawns. So we try to exchange them. Just we advance our pawns, and then, well, he doesn't want the exchange, so we force it. We get a sacrifice in, and then we get a crushing position very quickly. Anyway, just back to the game. Because what happens here is, again, black has no defenders on his king side, so you do the right thing. You play knight g5, threatening mate. Just moving the other knight would have been better, just because now, if he plays g6 to stop the potential mate threat, then your knight is ready to jump into f6 right away. And you do have a mate threat, so black does nothing, right? You come in, knight f6 check. If he takes it, well, it's mate. If he doesn't take it, it's mate anyway. So, details, okay? Doesn't matter, because after g6 and knight, again, you expertly exploit that square. Good job. Knight comes in, you bring the queen in, he does something. Come over here, you're going to slide in, you're threatening queen h6. Your whole attack up here is brilliant. It's simple, you just bring your pieces closer and closer because he has no defense. The only defense are his pawns. You take the pawn, you come back, right here. And here's where you couldn't find your plan. So, well, let's take stock. What is defending black's king? it's just pawns. If the pawns were to disappear, then again, it's going to be mate or huge material win just like that. It'd be incredibly easy. So we want to exchange pawns. How do we do that? Well, the easiest way to do that would be to advance our own h-pawn. So we play h4. The idea is to play h5, exchange. I'll just play some moves here. I looked at a quick line here. So black is going to try and defend. We bring our pieces in. And see how everything is now targeting an incredibly weak pawn, right? This is much weaker than before, and black really has no defense. He tries this. We bring our rook in. We bring our other rook in. Look, our whole position is smashing on through. Black can't hold. You're going to mop him up. Again, look how these pieces are stuck over here while you're attacking with everything. And why was this so easy? Because, again, in this position, black has no pieces to defend. So if we get rid of the pawns, then he has nothing to defend, and you win. It's also possible likely to use your pieces, so we could try and sacrifice here instead. So you could think about something like knight h4, and then bishop d3, and trying to sack that way. That's the other possibility, but h4 is so much easier, because then instead of sacrificing, we're simply attacking a weakness. So that's the idea. That's how you break through, because you had a dominating position here, and that's all you had to do was finish it off. Create one more weakness. Get rid of his pawns. Instead, played a couple more moves, and you're still fine here. I mean, it's not like you're suddenly losing. And here, yeah, that's right, because you're thinking, you noticed, because after exchanging the knight h5, discover on the queen, good idea, but the king blocks. And then you wrote in your comment as well that queen takes g6 instead of exchanging queens would have been, again, devastating. Because again, all your pieces are in. You've got knight, well, I don't know if knight f6 does anything, but we can got rook takes f7 followed by rook f1. You're crashing on through. That's GG right there. But then you didn't. And I guess you used too much time trying to work this out, because then you ended up losing in time. Just a few moves later, which is, again, one of the most frustrating experiences, especially when you look at this position and you think, you've got to be winning. And you are. So that's the plan you want to think about. Because again, the way you got to this position, it was epic, right? You did everything right. So he has no defenders. So you bring something over, you make a threat. You could have used the other knight, doesn't matter, right? Now there's fresh weaknesses. So what do? You jump in right away. You target that. That's a beautiful knight. You bring your queen in because you realize if you can get your queen to h6, it's going to be checkmate. You move in closer, right? Still trying to get into h6. You win the pawn. You come back. Now there's just one more thing you need to do. You just got to destroy his defense, advance your pawns, right? Just like in this position earlier that I looked at. Right? He has no defense, right? Now this isn't, I don't know if it's the best move, but it's a good plan, and it's one worth remembering. Start advancing pawns. Because if you can exchange pawns, you win the game. Basically, he has no defense. And if he refuses exchange, well, we got these wonderful tactics. Okay? And so the way you got into this position, go back here, was great. It's just the finishing, the execution. So hopefully that can help you, is when there's nothing left, because your pieces are at their maximum right now. If your pieces can't do anything else, then it's time for our pawns. Get the pawns in, exchange, and if you can do that, if you can add this thinking process, this idea, into your game, your attacks are going to just become next level, right? Because that's the only missing ingredient you had here, is that you moved your pieces. You tried to get your pieces more, right? But it was hard for your pieces to do anything, right? You get the pawn in instead, it's game over. Okay, so that's that. Again, I'm SmithyQ from SmithyQ.com. I'm also on chess.com. I love talking about chess, so drop me a line anytime. I'm trying to answer these questions seriously, and yeah. I'm new to making these videos, so if you found this useful, if you could please tell me, give me feedback, like it if you liked it, subscribe if you want, that'd be great. Tell me what you want to see. If you have questions, I'm here to help. If you have feedback, if you hated it, tell me so that way I can fix it. Okay, so thanks for watching, thanks for listening, bye for now.